aligned. And again, I'm saying there's much more behind it. So that, believe it or not, was all preamble. All right? Because I now have a list of questions. The scary thing is, I put these questions together literally in about 5 minutes. All right? This is by no means an exclusive list, but what I'm trying to point out is there's many questions that need exploration. These are well within the range of what an undergraduate or graduate student could pursue, and yet they could have disproportionately large impact on decision makers. And we have a relationship through CERIAS where we can get that kind of information forward. Right? It doesn't say your solutions are better than somebody else, just that you have better engagement in marketing. Right? And in the private sector, that's everything. Just look at a chia pet. Okay, we're talking about that on the way over here. Right? Is that earth-shattering of an idea? Chia pets are out, right? You know what a chia pet is? The little thing? No, but it had great marketing, so someone made a whole bunch of money out of that thing. Right? My brother just retired at age 50. What a great goal to have in life, from Hewlett-Packard. And he often lamented as a career engineer, he said, it's frustrating when you see the best engineering products lose in the competitive marketplace. We just had another example, Blu-ray versus HD. Which one is better? Opinions? We could divide the class. We could have a polarity, Blu-ray versus HD. 2 formats enter, 1 leave, kind of the Thunderdome. See, I told you I'd get another movie into it. In my era, back in the paper era, we had another battle, Beta and VHS. I bet you every student at Purdue knew which was the better format, because this is an engineering school. We knew that Beta was better. There's no question about it. But they lost in the wars because marketing, market penetration, consumer perception of quality. That's sometimes different than real quality. Right? I actually don't know which is better. I'm a Luddite. I'm too far behind. So I just got cable a few years ago at my wife's insistence. All right? But Blu-ray is now one. That's great for users because we now have one standard. That trade-off between standards, regardless of who's the winner or the loser, if I go back to the technology stack, what's the implications if a standard falls out due to a rival? What does that do to a service-oriented architecture? If I built an architecture around one protocol, I don't control that protocol, right? Didn't Buzz just say the UN or someone is all over this? What happens if somebody changes the protocol? Well, I've got the whole corporate enterprise built on protocols that I don't control. Who owns the internet? I'll get to that in a couple of slides. Right? From a risk standpoint, you're putting your whole enterprise, whether you're a corporation, a university, if you're the federal government, you're putting a lot of your management and intellectual capital out there on something that you don't control. A small protocol change could radically impact your product and your organization. So, and we'll see that in a question. So these are just meant. I would be thrilled if one of you wanted to propose another question. There are no right answers. Again, Buzz thought these up in 5 minutes. Okay, that's the depth of it. But on the flip side, that shows you what I could get you another movie in, but it's a distraction. There are so many problems out there, it's easy to come up with 8. Right? Certification and accreditation. Does that ring a bell? Do you know what that is? Congress has mandated, again, under a perimeter-based system. Let me use Purdue as an analog. That periodically, to stay connected to the .edu, let's say, somebody has to go and verify compliance with certain university policies and procedures, commercial best practices, to make sure that the Purdue Net, or whatever it's called, is doing things the right way. So that's a certification and accreditation recommendation. Normally, I have to know what my perimeter is to do that, right? If you tell me I have to eat this, tell me how much I have to eat. Do I have to eat the whole pizza or just 3 slices. Give me a problem space, right? To certify and accredit. What about in a service-oriented architecture? What's your perimeter? How big is your pizza? I don't know. Well, why don't you know? Well, because it's a service-oriented architecture. It's as big as you want it to be. And what if I were to tell you an answer today, if I actually knew how big it was at this instant, the next instant it will be different. Well, what do we do with this whole concept of certification accreditation? Congress says to the Commerce Department, you have to do this. A lot of the large U.S. and European corporations are required by governing bodies to certify and accredit their networks to mitigate the risk to shareholders. How do you do this? So we're rushing headlong toward a certification accreditation, or excuse me, toward a service-oriented architecture. Bureaucratically, these are fighting words. There are whole industries, Booz Allen actually being part of them, that this is their business. They make tens of millions of dollars a year by doing certification accreditation for customers. Now you're going to roll something out where I can't do certifications and accreditations. Do you see that this would be a problem? That's an easy question. Now daydream. Okay, it's late on a cold afternoon. You're fast forwarding. You're thinking beyond spring break. That's what I mean by daydreaming. And you're imagining yourself as a chief information officer at Microsoft, or pick the industry of your choice. How do you manage risk? How do you know where you're taking risks in a service-oriented architecture? I don't know what products I'm protecting. I don't even know what products are available. I don't know who my corporate teammates are. I don't know who my customers are. Again, I don't mean to be defeatist, but this is like a chaos. I could take any chaos theory folks out here? Sometimes you find some. That would be a very interesting lens to look at this problem through, because that's its power and its Achilles heel at the same time. And it's amazing how often those two are connected. Since so much is unknowable, I have great capability. But since I have all of these problems, how do I manage them? Because you're not going to last long as a decision maker or leader if you don't know what risks you're taking. I'm approaching the red light. I know I'm supposed to stop. All right? You know what risks you're taking when you make that decision. I can go through the light, and I can see that I'm not going to hit someone. So that's the first risk, right? The second risk is you're probably thinking too much while you're driving, and you're distracted, right? Third risk is, well, what happens if I get caught? What are the penalties for running that red light? And this is a very simple analogy, but do you see where I'm going with this? If I'm a CIO, I don't know where I'm taking my risks. I can't make those informed decisions. I'm not saying stop at the right light every time, but I'm saying know the risks that you're taking. Do we have any tools that could be developed? This is another great academic question. What tools or capabilities could be built to help a CIO or a decision maker make informed choices? Third question. You're now a consumer. Okay? Maybe you're a student at Purdue University and you just want to buy a pair of skis. All right? Anybody bought skis over the internet yet? Come on, I'm a big skier. Someone's got a ski here.
Downhill or cross country?
Yes. But, and yeah, I guess it segues back to what Randy said, and I did buy a house in Colorado. So I'm going to remedy that. Been in Washington, D.C. too long. It was the only place the military stationed me where I didn't want to go. So what do you think I did after I retired from the military? Stayed, of course. Makes perfect sense. But I'll remedy that. But every time you buy something online, you're making a decision, right? You know that there are risks. You're perceiving, especially with those little icons down, right, that you have a trust domain. And a lot of that was done because of the certification and authentication, and accreditation schemas that are set up for e-commerce folks, right? And if you